In May, President Joe Biden announced 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. The tariff rate was previously 25%, and going from 25% to 100% surprised almost everyone. The motivation for the tariff increase was mostly because of Joe Biden's re-election problems, but also because of U.S. auto industry reactions to these reports that are here. BYD is a Chinese car maker, and BYD is now one of the biggest automakers in the world. They have a model called the Seagull that is already selling very well in South America under a different name. The Seagull was torn down by industry experts in the United States, and the results immediately panicked our automakers, who shortly thereafter called their lobbyists in Washington. Caresoft is a very well-respected industrial consulting firm, and their clients in the car industry pay them to identify new industry best practices to build better cars faster and less expensively. Caresoft completely takes apart vehicles and studies each part carefully. Earlier this year, Caresoft tore apart the Seagull. Its initial assessment, their executive summary, is here. Efficiently and simply designed, engineered, and executed. The quality was unexpectedly high and also with high reliability. What they did is done very well and efficiently. What is most shocking about the Seagull, though, is the price. It's around $11,000, and for that price, it's well equipped, and BYD is still making money, according to the company's testimony at the Chicago Federal Reserve. That paragraph right there is very important. The Chicago Fed invited this engineering consulting company to come in and give a report on this Chinese electric car. Now, BYD would have to make some changes to sell the car in the US market, which would drive costs up a bit. But even with that, the Seagull would hit the American markets with a sticker price that's tens of thousands of dollars lower than other electric vehicles. Caresoft discovered that BYD's efficiencies are here in their battery technology. China is way ahead on batteries, and BYD probably most of all. Then is vertical integration. Vertical integration is the degree to which BYD, in this case, can produce the car in-house without relying on outside suppliers. BYD is possibly the most vertically integrated company in the world right now, and their vertical integration gives BYD lots of advantages that our car makers do not have. Compared to the Chevrolet Bolt, Nissan Leaf, or the i3 from BMW, the Seagull feels no different to drive. Fast acceleration, quiet, and it's driver friendly. The Seagull can go around 190 miles on one charge, which is lower than most EVs on the market, but it would still take over most of the EV sales in local or for all city driving. Top speed of 80 miles an hour. The research report was quickly picked up in other media. Inside EVs says it's a cheap car that doesn't seem cheap. Associated Press says that it's small, well-built, and it's a threat to the US auto industry. AP quoted at length the engineers who did the teardown. Wojciechowski has been in the industry for 45 years, and he's pessimistic that US automakers are going to be able to successfully compete against BYD. The entire car is an exercise in efficiency, and Detroit needs to relearn and reinvent a lot of the design and manufacturing techniques to catch BYD. We build into our cars features and processes that just aren't necessary for cars made for the mass market, and especially for electric vehicles. EVs are lighter, and since by definition they don't have internal combustion engines, they can be designed completely differently. But the legacy car makers are very slow to make those changes that are necessary. The Alliance for American Manufacturing says that it's on the low end of the market, where the Seagull is positioned to be, where BYD poses an extinction-level threat to legacy car makers. This report here was in response to BYD, and in particular BYD's successes in South America and in Europe. The Alliance is deeply concerned that BYD can do either of two things, which would work easily and well in the North American market. First, BYD can just continue making cars in China and ship them over and pay the tariff. That would be easy enough for a car under $12,000. A 25% tariff puts the base cost at $15,000 plus shipping. Or BYD can set up manufacturing in Mexico and just ship their cars into the United States without tariffs at all. So the Biden administration sent the tariff to the moon, basically, and said that they were going to shut down the back doors from Mexico in case BYD tries option number 2. The Caresoft teardown report did not say that Seagulls were a piece of junk and we need to protect American consumers from buying garbage. The report did not say that Seagulls are dangerous and we need to protect American consumers from getting into car accidents. They said the opposite of those things. BYD cars are not dangerous to anyone except people who build cars that are a lot more expensive. That's what the tariffs are doing. BYD is taking markets all over the world because consumers want to buy them. And it's for that reason that the Alliance for American Manufacturing needs to keep them out. If BYD can sell these cars in the US market, BYD will sell them as fast as they can be built. And everyone knows it. And that's why they called their friends in Washington to make them stop. An extinction-level event is what we call an asteroid heading to Earth to wipe out all of humanity. Nobody thinks that's what's going to happen. The only one who's going to be wiped out are people trying to sell $50,000 cars to people who can only afford $20,000 cars. What apparently also did not occur to anyone in Washington, and certainly not in Detroit, was that the reason the Seagull poses such a threat to our car makers is that it's a good car for a great price, and that American consumers should be allowed to buy them. Is there anyone in Washington who read this report and said, these cars are really going to help low-income Americans with affordable transportation? Did anyone say that? Did anyone say, let's bring a BYD dealership into our precinct so my voters can buy low-cost cars in the mass market? Did anyone say that? When our lawmakers leave Washington, D.C., and go back home, which they're supposed to do occasionally and talk to voters, they probably hear that everything costs way too much. Houses cost a fortune. Groceries, insurance, healthcare, college, utility bills, used cars, new cars. Then they fly back to Washington and make sure everything stays that way. This is Hainan province. Be good.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts,